I was very sick, and I haven't ever missed a show in 30 years of read of our show.
Tim Allen spent 6 years playing a conservative father on ABC's primetime lineup. His character joked about Obama, mocked political correctness, and even dressed as Donald Trump days before the 2016 election. The show survived all of that, but 3 specific episodes crossed a line that nobody talks about. One got a child kicked out of preschool on screen. Another questioned how many genders exist. The third went somewhere the network clearly regretted. These episodes aired once and then disappeared. No reruns, no streaming, no explanation. What did a Friday night sitcom say that still can't be repeated? The story of the show's birth starts moving the moment you step into late 2010, when Jack Burdett secured a put-pilot commitment from ABC under the working title Man Up. That commitment mattered because ABC had to either air the pilot or pay a heavy penalty, which gave Burdett the confidence to shape his idea without fear of the usual network pushback. As January 2011 arrived, the show changed titles twice, first turning into Last Days of Man and eventually landing on Last Man Standing. Something strange happened along the way. The original Man Up title ended up being used by a completely different ABC sitcom that premiered beside Last Man Standing in October 2011. That show collapsed so quickly that ABC removed it from the schedule on December 8, 2011, while Last Man Standing kept rising. The changes in titles reflected how the concept kept tightening its focus, moving from a simple comedy about masculinity into a story centered on Mike Baxter, the conservative father who felt like the last traditional man standing in a world that didn't match his beliefs anymore. When Tim Allen officially joined on February 18, 2011, the puzzle pieces fell into place because he had been involved silently even before the pilot was confirmed. His early attachment gave him rare creative power to shape Mike Baxter into the kind of character he believed television was missing. As the show formed, Allen said he imagined Mike as a modern version of an outspoken conservative who could push boundaries without becoming hateful. When the show premiered on October 11, 2011, it pulled in 13,000 to 19,000 viewers, and those numbers confirmed everything Allen suspected. Audiences wanted this voice. In interviews, he admitted he liked teasing liberals because he felt they didn't enjoy being the target of jokes. He wanted Mike to feel charming and confident because, to him, that kind of conservative character felt like the most threatening thing in modern culture. He poured his own feelings about Obama-era politics into Mike's worldview, and that energy shaped the show more than any script ever could. Jack Burdett's vision matched that energy. He wanted Mike to be loud and confident about his conservative beliefs, and he wanted those beliefs to directly challenge the kind of television America was watching in 2011. Network sitcoms leaned heavily to the left during Obama's first term, and Burdett knew there was a huge audience that felt unrepresented. He built the conflicts into the show's structure. Mike's daughters and his liberal son-in-law Ryan pushed back against him, which allowed the show to express conservative ideas without turning into pure propaganda. Mike's video blog segments at Outdoor Man opened the door to topics like gun rights, political correctness, environmental debates, Obamacare, and foreign policy. Those choices created a kind of tension that made the episodes move with a spark you couldn't find anywhere else on network television. ABC greenlit the pilot in January 2011, at a moment when conversations about masculinity and economic pressure were spreading across the country. The 2008 and 2009 nine-knee recession had hit male-dominated industries hardest, and people were calling it the man-cession. Networks noticed this cultural shift and tried to create sitcoms that explored men struggling to find their place. ABC developed Man Up and Work, it alongside Last Man Standing, hoping one of them would click. Only one survived. Man Up collapsed in December 2011, and work it barely lasted 2 episodes in early 2012. Last Man Standing, meanwhile, grew louder and more political in Season 2. Viewers picked up on the constant jokes about Obama and Hillary Clinton, along with the show's growing willingness to criticize Democrats. This intensity helped create a huge fan base that later delivered more than 400,000 petition signatures when ABC canceled the show in 2017. The early years behind the scenes were full of twists. Even during Season 1, the show cycled through 3 showrunners before Season 2 even began. Jack Burdett led the first 13 episodes, then Kevin Abbott stepped in while the season was still unfolding. By June 11, 2012, Tim Doyle came aboard as the 3rd showrunner for Season 2, while Abbott stepped back because his own show, Malibu Country, was picked up. This kind of rapid rotation usually means the show is unstable. Yet Last Man Standing kept holding strong ratings each week. Later, Matt Berry would lead before ABC's cancellation, and Abbott returned when Fox revived the show. The rotating leadership never stopped, but the audience stayed because Tim Allen's presence created stability on screen even when the writer's room felt like shifting ground. Nancy Travis entered the picture at the end of March 2011, taking the role of Vanessa Baxter. Her casting was complicated because she had also been hired for a recurring part on Heart of Dixie at the same time. She filmed only 2 episodes for that show before choosing Last Man Standing, a decision that meant walking away from a guaranteed series role. She had strong sitcom roots, especially after Becker from 2002 to 2004, where her connection with Ted Danson was described as effortless. That same warmth helped her embody Vanessa, and the gamble paid off. She stayed with Last Man Standing for all 9 seasons. Around that same time, Hector Elizondo joined as Ed Alzate. He was already 74, carrying decades of experience and a calm steadiness that contrasted beautifully with Mike Baxter's energy. He became the old-school businessman and outdoor man, grounding scenes with quiet wit. When Kyle mentioned the 21st century in the pilot, Ed simply said 1 step at a time, which summed up everything about him. Elizondo stayed through the entire run, appearing in episodes well into his mid-80s. Alexandra Krosny took on the role of Kristen Baxter in Season 1. She appeared in all 24 episodes and shaped Kristen into a core part of the Baxter family. Everything seemed stable until ABC shocked everyone by replacing her before Season 2. Official explanations pointed to creative differences, but nothing more concrete ever came out. Fans created rumors about her personal life that she later denied completely. Producers wanted a different direction, and that direction pointed toward Amanda Fuller. The sudden recast created a wave of disappointment from viewers who liked Krosny's portrayal, and Fuller received unfair backlash for something she had no control over. The character's age also shifted, along with the age of her son Boyd, marking a clear reset in the show's structure. Molly Ephraim and Caitlin Dever joined as Mandy and Eve Baxter, with a surprising 10-year age difference between them. Ephraim was 25, and Dever was 14 when the show premiered on October 11, 2011. Yet they played sisters who weren't far apart in age, and their chemistry made the difference vanish. Dever had a big year in 2011 because she also appeared on Justified. Both actresses stayed for 130 episodes across 6 seasons until ABC's cancellation in 2017. When Fox revived the show in 2018, Ephraim chose not to return and was replaced by Molly McCook. Christoph Sanders became Kyle Anderson, bringing with him experience from Ghost Whisperer, where his character had been aged up to create new storylines. Last Man Standing placed him first as Kristen's boyfriend, but when the show aged Kristen into a more mature character, they shifted Kyle's romantic arc and eventually paired him with Mandy. Sanders stayed for all 186 episodes from 2011 to 2021, and even directed One, Love, and Negotiation. The show's debut on October 11, 2011, created a wave. The premiere reached 12,95,000 viewers, with a 3.5 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. It became ABC's highest demo rating in that Tuesday 8 p.m. slot in nearly 2 years, and turned into the most watched comedy premiere in that time reign. ABC aired 2 hour-long episodes that night, giving everyone a long, clear look at Mike's world. The network saw immediately that conservative viewers were connecting to this show in a way they didn't connect to anything else on television. By November 3, 2011, just 23 days later, ABC ordered a full 22-episode season. That decision came faster than usual because the show kept holding strong numbers every week. The mix of family comedy and political commentary through Mike's vlogs gave viewers something they couldn't find anywhere else. The network also realized they finally had a Tuesday anchor that could stabilize the night. In January 2012, ABC extended the season to 24 episodes. Very few freshman shows receive extra episodes mid-season, but Last Man Standing kept delivering more than 80,000 viewers through fall and winter. When the first season ended on May 8, 2012, the show had already proven it wasn't just a strong start. It had momentum. The premiere also crushed its competition. On October 11, 2011, it beat NBC's The Biggest Loser by more than 70,000 viewers. It also outperformed Fox's Glee, CBS's NCIS, and the CW's 90210 in its slot. The audience response made it clear that people wanted something different from the usual Tuesday lineup. Even critics couldn't stop its rise. On May 11, 2012, ABC renewed the show for Season 2, despite critics giving Season 1 a 14% rating, while audiences gave it 78%. Reviewers dismissed the show as dated or hostile, but millions kept watching. Viewers didn't care about critic scores. They cared about feeling seen on television, and the show gave them that. The casting changes in 2012 created a storm of their own. On June 11, 2012, ABC announced that Alexandra Krosny had been fired. At the same time, they replaced Kevin Abbott with Tim Doyle as showrunner. The double shift signaled a creative overhaul. Industry watchers were stunned because the ratings were strong, yet the production team clearly wanted a reset. The role of Kristen needed to be recast quickly for the fall season. Amanda Fuller stepped in, and her first appearance arrived in September 2012. The new version of Kristen was older, more mature, and paired with a son who was now 5 years old. Despite the controversy, the Season 2 premiere became the highest-rated episode of the entire series until Fox revived it in 2018. Fuller was excited to join the show, yet her early months were rough because fans were upset, and social media made it impossible for her to escape the negativity. She admitted later that she faced real cyberbullying during that period. Boyd's age jump created even more reaction. In Season 1, he was played by twin babies Evan and Luke Crunchev. When Season 2 aired in September 2012, Boyd suddenly appeared as a 5-year-old played by Flynn Morrison. The jump represented about 4 years of fictional time, even though only a few months had passed in real time. Morrison played Boyd for 65 episodes between 2012 and 2017, but he didn't return for the Fox revival. The biggest mystery was the reason behind Alexandra Krosny's firing. For 12 years, ABC has never explained anything beyond creative reasons. No insider leaks ever emerged, and no interviews have cracked the silence. Fans speculate endlessly, but nothing has been confirmed. The timing with the showrunner change adds to the suspicion, and TV Line's early report remains the only solid piece of information. The unanswered questions have turned Krosny's departure into one of the longest-lasting unresolved moments in sitcom history. The show always liked to poke at the edges, So when it stepped into political comedy, it did it with a grin that made the moments land harder. It moved from joke to joke, with a kind of rhythm that felt almost sneaky, especially when the writers slipped in lines that hinted at real headlines people were arguing about in that same week. This was clearest when Mike Baxter delivered that Hillary Clinton therapist joke during Season 5. The moment arrived so casually that Kyle's simple question about losing opened a door for Mike to fire back, with a line that echoed the conspiracy theories floating around online during the 2016 campaign. The joke hit the studio audience in one swoop, and it hit ABC with a wave of attention because it aired in the middle of Clinton's presidential run. The show rarely hid its conservative lean, and this joke became one of the clearest examples of that boldness. Tim Allen kept his expression steady, almost calm, which made the joke feel sharper. Conservative viewers saw it as a rare moment where their viewpoint found space on primetime TV, and that sense of representation turned a small scene into a talking point that would circle conservative discussions for months. Soon, another line slipped into the show's rhythm. Mike Baxter stood in the middle of a conversation and delivered the phrase, "Fair went out with Obama." It moved through the episode like a spark because it captured a feeling that many conservatives had been expressing about the Obama years. The line drifted from the living room into talk radio, then across social media, where it turned into a catchphrase. It grew outside the show until it felt like something people would say in real arguments, and that was rare for a sitcom. Season 5 ran from September 25, 2015 to April 22, 2016, which meant the line came at a time when political tensions were already rising fast. ABC was used to avoiding direct political hits, but Mike Baxter did not dodge anything. His character said what many conservative fans believed, and the show became a quiet gathering place for those who felt entertainment had stopped speaking their language. That tone slipped right into the ISIS storylines. When ISIS dominated the news in 2014 and 2015, the show brought that fear and uncertainty into Mike Baxter's office monologues, where he mocked what he saw as weak strategies for dealing with terrorism. The world at that time was watching ISIS grow across Iraq and Syria, and people were nervous every night. Mike joked about leading from behind, a phrase critics of Obama had used again and again, and the audience heard their frustrations mirrored back at them. It was strange for a Friday night sitcom to even touch an active foreign conflict, but Last Man Standing treated politics as something living inside the Baxter home. Ratings climbed during these heavier episodes, some reaching 7,000 viewers, and conservative outlets praised the show for daring to say what they felt other networks were too scared to say. Then came December 2nd, 2016, when the show stepped right into the cultural storm that followed Donald Trump's election. Protests were happening across the country, and college campuses were full of debates about speech codes and microaggressions. Mike Baxter walked into Mandy's graduation and found out that his speech needed to be reviewed for offensive words. He pushed back in the only way he knew how. He talked about microaggressions and free speech with a grin that made the lines feel like punches hidden inside jokes. When he stood at the podium and said some whiny babies might not think so, conservative viewers felt the sting was aimed exactly where they wanted it. The episode exploded across right-wing media, and sites like Breitbart and Newsbusters celebrated it for taking on political correctness head first. It was a moment when the show moved in perfect rhythm with the national mood, feeding the frustration many conservatives felt in the weeks after the 2016 election. That same energy shaped the jokes about Obama's first job. Mike delivered these lines with a slow build, questioning whether Obama had enough experience before stepping into the presidency. These jokes ran from 2011 to 2016, and each time they appeared, It felt like the show was pulling directly from conservative talking points about Obama's past as a community organizer and senator. Primetime comedies rarely mentioned sitting presidents, much less questioned their resumes. Last Man Standing did it often enough that it became part of its identity. Conservative viewers treated those lines as validation, something they did not get much from Hollywood. Year after year, as ABC aired new seasons from 2011 to 2017, the show kept returning to those small but sharp jabs, and audiences who agreed with them kept tuning in. By the time the show reached 2016 and 2017, it had grown far beyond a simple sitcom. It became ABC's second highest-rated comedy in the 2016 to 2017 season with 100,000 viewers, while Modern Family held only a slight lead at 700,000. Even the 18 to 49 demographic numbers showed strength with a 1.2 rating, which was impressive for a Friday slot. Season 5 had held a 1.21 rating with 740,000 viewers, proving stability at a time when most shows were losing numbers every year. Friday nights were usually where networks sent shows to fade out, but Last Man Standing held steady, week after week, drawing more than 6,000 viewers like clockwork. When Fox picked it up in September 2018, the premiere reached 100,000 viewers and a 1.8 rating, proving the audience had never gone anywhere. Its strength showed again when industry reports placed it as ABC's third most watched scripted show behind Grey's Anatomy and Modern Family. It outranked multiple well-reviewed ABC dramas and comedies that received far more promotion and critical praise. It achieved all this from an 8 p.m. Friday slot, when younger audiences usually were out and away from their televisions. The consistency made its cancellation confusing for people who followed TV ratings closely. A show that ranked so high, especially on a weeknight, should have been safe. That confusion turned into frustration once the cancellation hit the news. The political humor reached another peak when the Trump costume episode aired on October 28, 2016. Mike Baxter walked into his house dressed as Donald Trump, blonde wig and all, and the room fell into stunned silence before the joke unraveled. The entire episode built around Halloween costumes and identity, but Mike's reveal turned into the centerpiece. The timing made everything sharper because it aired only days before the 2016 election, when conversations about Trump filled every news hour. Entertainment. Tonight promoted exclusive footage in advance, and social media filled with clips the moment the episode aired. By the time Episode 9, Precious Snowflakes, aired on December 2nd, the show had settled into a rhythm of mixing holiday comedy with political commentary, and viewers who loved that mix felt the season was speaking directly to them. Then came the moment in May 2017, when ABC canceled the show without warning. On May 10th, the announcement hit every entertainment site at once. Viewers were stunned because the numbers were strong. The show held 100,000 viewers in Season 6 and barely dipped across the year, losing only 5%, while most ABC shows lost 20 to 30. Friday nights had belonged to Last Man Standing since Season 2. No one expected ABC to cut a show that held its time slot with almost no competition. Even the cast learned about the cancellation without any negotiation period, which made the shock feel sharper. Tim Allen reacted days later, on May 16, 2017, with a message on Twitter saying he was stunned and blindsided by the network he had called home for 6 years. The words spread through fans immediately, and millions shared them. Jonathan Adams echoed the same feeling online. Their responses turned a cancellation into a full controversy, and every entertainment site kept reporting on the story as the debate grew hotter. ABC Entertainment President Channing Dungey stepped forward to explain the decision. She said it came down to business and scheduling choices, and pointed to other canceled shows like The Real O'Neills, and Dr. Ken. ABC wanted to remove its Friday comedy block entirely and replace it with fantasy and sci-fi content, such as Once Upon a Time and Marvel's Inhumans. When asked whether politics influenced the decision, she denied it and said the cancellation followed the same reasoning as the others. At the same time, she admitted it was a hard choice because the show performed well. Her explanation did not calm the debate because fans saw something deeper behind the scenes. Ownership became the quiet truth that shaped everything. Last Man Standing was produced by 20th Century Fox Television, not ABC Studios. That meant ABC paid licensing fees for a show it did not own and could not profit from through syndication. Networks had grown dependent on owning their content because long-term profits often came from reruns and international sales. ABC faced that challenge every year when negotiating with 20th Television, and those talks were always tense. This structure made the show vulnerable even with strong ratings. Once cancellation hit the air, conservative political backlash rose quickly. Mike Huckabee wrote about it, calling the decision part of a liberal agenda, and arguing the show offered one of the only positive conservative viewpoints on primetime television. The argument spread across social media, and within days, a Change.org petition reached more than 300,000 signatures. Fans said the show mattered because it let conservative and liberal characters coexist while still caring about one another. The pressure built so strongly that Fox revived the series in 2018, proving the audience had not forgotten the show at all. The controversy really exploded on October 18, 2011, when the episode called Grandparents' Day aired, and what seemed like a small preschool visit turned into one of the most argued moments of the entire series. Mike Baxter showed up at his grandson Boyd's daycare expecting finger paint and snacks, but instead, he ran into a lesson that stopped him cold. A boy named Doug was dressed as a princess, and when Mike questioned it, the teacher calmly explained that Doug had made that choice and that they validated it. Boyd did not understand any of it and blurted out that it was stupid, which only made the room more tense. Mike focused on the word choice and pushed back, asking how a preschooler could make decisions like that. The teacher responded that they did not use words such as stupid, normal, or abnormal because they were just words. From there, the situation spiraled fast. Mike's refusal to back down ended with Boyd being kicked out of the preschool altogether. What started as a family visit turned into a national conversation. Social media lit up immediately. Conservative viewers praised Mike for saying what they felt no one else would say, while progressive critics accused the show of mishandling gender expression in early childhood. Overnight, the episode became one of the most discussed moments in the show's history. That tension never really faded, and it showed again years later on December 2nd, 2016, when another episode hit a cultural nerve. This time it centered on college campuses and the idea of microaggressions. Mike was invited to speak at his daughter Mandy's business school graduation, which should have been a proud moment, but it quickly turned uncomfortable. The school required him to submit his speech ahead of time, so it could be screened for objectionable words or phrases. Mike called it a direct attack on free speech. When he walked on stage and opened with the simple phrase, "Ladies and gentlemen," Mandy immediately stopped him and explained that it excluded people who did not identify as either. Mike stood there stunned, genuinely confused, because he believed there were only two genders. Trying to adapt, he rewrote his speech in what he thought was politically correct language. He quoted Lee Greenwood's "I'm proud to be an American," and said that if you work hard, anyone can be successful. Even then, Vanessa warned him that the thought police would never approve it. Clips from the episode spread everywhere online. Conservative social media embraced it as a perfect snapshot of campus culture in 2016, and the episode became part of the larger culture war that defined that election year. While the show was stirring debate on screen, real-life changes behind the scenes shocked fans even more. In July 2018, just 2 months before the Fox revival premiered on September 28, fans learned that Molly Ephraim and Flynn Morrison would not be returning as Mandy and Boyd. Ephraim had played Mandy for all 6 ABC seasons from 2011 to 2017, and Morrison had grown up on screen as Boyd. They felt permanent. ABC had canceled the show on May 10, 2017, and when Fox revived it exactly 1 year later on May 11, 2018, the timeline was brutal. Production had barely 4 months to get moving. During the year-long gap, both actors had committed to other projects and could not come back. Fox announced the recasting quietly, almost hoping people would not notice. Fans noticed immediately. With around 6.5 million loyal viewers, many worried the revival would not feel like the same show anymore. Those fears only grew on August 6, 2018, when Fox revealed who would replace them. Molly McCook stepped in as Mandy, and Jet Juergensmeyer took over as Boyd. Fans had less than 2 months to adjust. McCook was known for her work on The Ranch and appearances on Modern Family and Glee. Juergensmeyer had appeared on the Will and Grace revival as Jack's grandson. The producers also made a bold decision that caught everyone off guard. They aged Boyd up to around 12 years old, completely changing the character's role in the family. The show never explained the recasting. The new Mandy and Boyd simply appeared as if nothing had changed. Social media filled with confusion. Viewers pointed out that McCook looked nothing like Ephraim, and that the mother-daughter chemistry felt forced. Many called it the biggest mistake of the show's 9-season run. Another absence felt just as heavy. Caitlin Dever, who played Eve Baxter from 2011 to 2017, was reduced to a recurring role when the show moved to Fox. She had landed the lead role in Netflix's Unbelievable, which demanded her full focus during production. The miniseries premiered on September 13, 2019, and told the true story of Marie Adler. Dever's performance earned her a Golden Globe nomination, along with Critics' Choice and BAFTA Rising Star nominations. Her appearances on Last Man Standing became sporadic, explained away through Eve's Military Academy storyline. Fans missed her deeply. Eve had always felt like the daughter most like Mike. While viewers praised Dever's career leap, many still felt the show lost one of its strongest emotional anchors. All of this happened after what looked like the end. When ABC canceled Last Man Standing in May 2017, the reaction was immediate and fierce. Fans launched a Change.org petition that crossed 210,000 signatures in just 48 hours. The message was clear. People felt the show represented values they rarely saw on television anymore. Tim Allen added fuel on May 3, 2018, when he tweeted that the voices had been heard and the show might return. Exactly 8 days later, on May 11th, Fox confirmed the Season 7 pickup. The timing was not random. Roseanne's revival earlier that year had pulled in 18.4 million viewers, proving there was a massive audience for conservative-leaning programming. Allen thanked the fans publicly and said he had never felt more grateful.